Hello, Matthew Johnson. Thank you very much for joining us here today.
Hi, thanks for having me.
It's great to having you here. You're an attorney at Cooley's Education, right?
Yes, I'm an attorney at Cooley LLP, which is a law firm headquartered in Silicon Valley. We have 15 offices around the world in the U.S., China, and Europe.
Okay.
And I am in their education and ed tech group.
What does it mean?
Sure. So it's a bit of a unique focus for a law firm in that we have sector verticals. So instead of focusing on just one particular type of legal issue like intellectual property or corporate law, you focus on a variety of issues that impact a sector. And so you become a bit of an expert in some areas, but also a generalist in a lot of areas that impact a certain type of company or investor, or in this case, schools as well. And you rely on the broader Cooley network of about over 1,000 attorneys around the world to fill in on some of the more specific questions that they can have.
What are the main challenges that you see in the edtech industry, according to the law firm firm point of view?
Yeah. So from a legal perspective, the biggest challenge is it can vary a bit depending on where they are at. So we see particularly in Europe and in the U.S. probably the number one legal issue that a lot of them deal with, particularly companies that are working in the K-12 and early childhood space is privacy. Data privacy is a critical, important issue under GDPR, under U.S. laws that are still developing but going along the same track. And it's something that particularly early stage companies, I think, have a tough time dealing with. Putting the necessary resources into data governance and developing a robust security policy takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of resources. And when you're trying to also build a company and a product, there's a tendency, I think, to want to try to not have to deal with other issues that get in the way of that. But this, really is not a field or a space where you're able to do that. So.
Do you have any recommendation about this main issue, the security issue, for starting startups? They don't have a lot of funds. Sometimes they want to do an MVP, they want to try things. So do you have any recommendation in this area?
Yes. So I think that there are a few steps that you can take proactively that go a long way. The most I think important concept is building in what's called privacy by design from an early stage, which means if you're thinking about the privacy features and you're cognizant of the of the standards you need to meet, it is much easier to build that in from the front end than it is to later on have to go back and re-engineer it for that. So if you're ultimately trying to reduce the burden, actually taking it seriously from an early stage does do that.
So you say to think about it all the time. And
right. Build it into the product itself. This concept of privacy and how you're treating data and using data and, thinking, critically about what data you're collecting even.
Tell me, what area you're more passionate about today?
So I really do. I mean, I think it may be a bit cliche, but I do really, what I enjoy most about the education space and the entrepreneurs and investors that you see in this space is that even if it's a for-profit business and they're hoping to be very successful financially, even if it's a VC fund that is looking to make good returns on their investments, most people get into this space because they actually care about what they're doing and they feel very passionate about it. And in fact, because we represent a lot of early stage companies, we're typically in a position of trying to assess, and not too differently from a VC, where we think they're going to go because, they can't afford big legal bills. They're not really going to pay our bills to be able to do a lot of sophisticated legal work. And so you're also taking a chance on them. And doing that with companies that you really feel that you can get behind what they're doing, it makes that easier. I also think that this is a space that if you don't have a passion for it, both a passion and a knowledge of the sector, so former educator, former administrators, it's not that likely that you're going to be successful. I think both from just a mental perspective of, it's a tough sector to build into, as well as knowing the issues that you're trying to solve for. Not having that passion and that really strong conviction in what you are doing, that's just important to succeed.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. And with a couple of last questions.
Sure.
What brings you to Israel?
So I am here because I'm presenting at the Israel Education Summit, and we do believe that we are developing a global practice, and Israel is a fascinating market in both education and in emerging companies generally, right? So you hear very much about Startup Nation, and spending some time here, you do get a sense of this entrepreneurial spirit that is on a per capita basis, I think maybe unrivaled anywhere else. And you have a lot of really fascinating companies that are doing a lot of things. And what is interesting, I think, from our perspective is while there's all this innovation going on here, ultimately companies that are here have to look globally, right? That the local market is relatively pretty small, and so you have to look globally. And so we do work with a lot of Israeli companies that are looking to operate in the U.S. or in Europe and elsewhere.
Did you notice something unique or special in the Israeli ecosystem, the EdTech ecosystem and community here?
Well, I'm hoping to learn. One. Yeah, it is. and I'd maybe like to be asked that again at the end of the summit, because I think that the answer is yes. I'm still.
It's a date.
Yes. Okay. that works. But from what we've seen, I mean, I think it is that drive, that passion for what is this passion that a lot of the younger people here have, and the confidence that they have to go out and really start their own thing, and the importance that is placed on education, I think, is a very unique combination.
Right, great. Last question. Do you have, a lot of our listeners and viewers are early stage entrepreneurs, some of them in the stage even of an idea. Do you have any recommendation for them to what to think about for starters, what to do, what to look for in the future?
Yeah. So I think, a few things are, one, make sure that you do know your market, make sure you know what the problem is that you're solving for. And make sure that you do develop that product market fit. That's something you don't often that you see maybe lacking a bit in the ed tech space generally, although I think it's getting better. Think about what your business model is, and obviously what is your path to profitability. It's a good thing to be able to do a worthwhile mission, but if you can't be successful in doing it, it's going to be a challenge to continue to do that. And then, I am a lawyer, so, on the legal side, I will also say, don't disregard the details. It may be easy to do that, but there are a lot of simple steps that you can do, both from just a formation perspective, making sure that you and your co-founders are taking the right steps to protect yourselves personally, protect the company. Those simple things at an early stage put you in a much better position to be successful later on.
Matt, thank you very much. I wish you good luck in your presentation.
Thank you.
And hope to see you later. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Take care.